Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Smite and a god overview and, of course, gameplay for the latest god that was released in the latest patch. This is Nemesis, the Greek goddess of vengeance. We have here the standard skin for her, which looks really good, honestly. I do like it. She's got the scales of balance there. And we do have the secondary skin called No Mercy, which has got a very nice red-black look to it. So I can only imagine when she gets a golden and legendary skin, she will probably look pretty good in those as well. Moving on to her overview. Nemesis is considered a warrior, so a bruiser type in Smite. She has a damage progression of 1, 1, 0.75, and then 1.25. So you've got two regular attacks, a very quick attack, and then a longer swing, which then goes right into a normal attack. So the last two going into the third hit will be fairly quick. So she has a decent attack speed progression there near the end. Moving on to the passive, we have Scales of Fate. Nemesis holds the scales of balance. Hitting enemies with basic attacks tips the scales in her favor, reducing her target's physical and magical power, and increases hers in a stack, up to 3 stacks, and it's 5% per hit. So this is not really a protections steal. Think of Anubis, who can steal protections. The amount he steals is the amount he gets. In this case, what it is whenever you hit an enemy, and this can even be creep, it doesn't have to be a god. Whenever you attack something, you get a stacking 5% damage buff. I suppose the closest thing you can think of it is Habo. Every time Habo uses an ability, he gets 5% stacking damage. So she's very much a physical manifestation of Habo, and you'll kind of see that with some of her abilities. She kind of mimics him in some of these abilities. The other side of it is that you are removing the enemy's power 5% per hit. So every time you hit an enemy, they will be doing less and less damage, which can greatly affect you and your team's survivability. Her first ability is a dash. It is Swift Vengeance. Nemesis dashes in a line, dealing damage to enemies in her path, and may dash again within 2 seconds. Using another ability during this time cancels the second dash. Now, I can also tell you that if you try to auto-attack, if you just click the button, you're just going to do another dash anyway. That could depend upon your casting stance, though, whether it's quick, instant, or the basic mode. I did notice for me, you cannot do a basic attack. You can basically dash and then dash again, or dash and then use an ability. Now, in the reveal video, they stated that you had to hit an enemy in order to dash again. That is no longer the case. You can simply double dash. I'll talk about that a bit later and how I think that actually might have been a better move than what we have here. But for now, just know that you can dash twice. The damage goes from 50 at level 1 up to 170 at level 5, 25% of your physical power scaling. So this ability has actually been nerfed twice. In the reveal video, it was supposed to have 100% scaling. It was then brought down to 50% at release, and then just recently hot patched to be 25%. So the damage has been brought down, but it still hits twice. So remember that 170 at the final level is doubled when you hit again. 14-second cooldown on that ability. Moving on to Slice and Dice. This is kind of your bread and butter ability. Nemesis swings her blade. Deals damage in an area in front of her. Enemies in the center of the swing are struck for double damage and slowed for 2 seconds. The damage going from 40 at level 1, 65, 90, 115, finally up to 140 at final level. 25% physical scaling power. Once again, just like Swift Vengeance, this one went from 200 to 100... or went from 100 to 50 and then down to 25. So it has basically been slashed in half 3 times. So both of these had a 100% scaler, brought down the 50%, brought down the 25%. It's still quite powerful, though. That 140, this weapon swings basically in a 180-degree arc, so anything in front of you will be hit. A very narrow cone in front of you is what will get the double damage. Again, analog to Habo. So if you look at Habo and his very narrow cannon cone, that's pretty much what you're going to get on the double damage side of Slice and Dice. You also only get the slow, the 50% slow on the center. And that is 50% slow at all levels, and there is a 7-second cooldown, meaning that Nemesis works very well with a cooldown build, which will bring this down even further. The third ability is Retribution. It is a self-buff. It is a shield. Nemesis activates a temporary shield around herself that protects her from all incoming damage for a duration. She heals for all incoming damage from NPCs and a percentage of the damage from enemy gods, while reflecting a percentage of damage back to the source, pre-mitigated. Hard crowd control effects will remove the shield. So if you're fighting a Nemesis and she puts up the shield, you can fully remove it by using something like Emir's Freeze or Isis's Stun Ball. The damage reflected starts at 30%, goes up 5% every level, up to 50% of damage received. Again, remember this is pre-mitigated, so if you are Nemesis and you are building defensive, or you're fighting a Nemesis who's building defensively, remember that your own attack power is what's going to be shot back at you. So if you have no defenses and you are shooting, or you're doing an assassin, or even an attack damage carry or a hunter, and you're doing a lot of damage, remember that once that reflects, it's not going to get reduced by whatever that Nemesis is building. It's going to come right back at you as if you were shooting it yourself. Thankfully, it's only 50% of that, but it can be quite dangerous. Nemesis will also receive 50% of the damage received in healing, and that's, again, pre-mitigation. So if you're doing a lot of damage, you might do a lot of healing. The shield does only last for 1 second, though, so you can, when you see it, wait it out. It doesn't last that long to be too much of a problem, but it is enough to very quickly save Nemesis, especially against certain abilities that have a very obvious tell. I'm thinking of things like Agni's ultimate, or even Poseidon's ultimate, Ra's ultimate. You could even look at Habo, once again, his ultimate coming at you. You hit Retribution, 50% of that thing comes back at him, he's probably going to die. And that is how Retribution works. You can probably tell just from the abilities and what we're looking at now that there is going to be an outcry of how powerful this god is. And I'll talk about that in the match. I just want to use this part right now to talk about the abilities and how they work. So moving on to the ultimate, this is Divine Judgment. This is not necessarily a skill shot, it's basically a god selector, kind of like Geb's shield. You select a god, Nemesis chooses a single enemy god, reducing their health and movement speed, and stealing a portion of their protections for a time period. Her movement speed is also increased during this time. So the damage does 30% at level 1, up to 50% of current hit points at level 5. This is exactly like Geb's ultimate, except for it only hits one god. And just like Geb's ultimate, this ability does not do true damage. You think 50% of current hit points, and you think that might sound overpowered, but you're doing 50% physical damage, which means it will be brought down by mitigation and just flat damage reduction. This does have a true protection steal. You will steal 50% of their protections and gain what you steal. The movement speed is brought down by 50% of the enemy god. It is not stolen. You will gain a movement speed buff, but it is not based exactly on what you steal. The target debuff, they'll be debuffed for 5 seconds, but you will be buffed for 10 seconds. So you'll take away their protections and you'll take away their movement speed, but you'll only take that away for 5, but you will still have it for 10. So while they will no longer be debuffed, you will still have some additional protections and movement speed for another 5 seconds beyond that. 90-second cooldown on this, meaning that you can probably bring it down to just under a minute with full cooldown reduction gear. So that's Nemesis in a nutshell. And we're going to take her in. We're going to look at a match, and we're going to talk about her. And I'm going to tell you right now, my personal opinion is yes, she's overtuned. And keep in mind this is first impressions that I'm coming from, because she hasn't been out that long. But it has been very discouraging to see a lot of matches that just get won because of a Nemesis. I will talk about that, because I think there are certain things that make her a little bit too powerful, and I think that there are just certain tweaks that could be done to bring her in line. And it's really sad to say this after the reduction to Swift Vengeance and Slice and Dice. They've been nerfed in damage twice, in scaling damage. So their early game damage is still the same, but the end game scaling has been brought down. And I'm really not sure that's where it needed to be. I really think they could have done it in other areas. So let's get in, we'll talk about that. So I'll see you in the match.
The universe has fallen out of balance. I must restore it.
Alright, we are in the match. I'm going to go ahead and start off with Slice and Dice. I highly recommend, as far as the way this goes, you want to start off with Slice and Dice. From there, you can kind of build how you want. You can go with Swift Vengeance or Retribution. I'd probably recommend Retribution, as Swift Vengeance is not only a great damage dealer, but it's also your escape. So you might not be using it that much to initiate. Depends on how good you are, how you play Nemesis. So Slice and Dice, though, is definitely going to be the first thing you level, next to your ultimate, of course, would be my recommendation because of the slow. Now, let's see. I'm going to be a little bit supporty on this one. How are we dealing with the enemy team? We've got magic, lots of magic, but we have a Nemesis underneath. I'm thinking I want to start off with some movement and move with the boots. Get the physical power and attack speed. Start that off, and I'll probably move some defensive after that. So we'll start with that. We're going to go into active. There's an enemy Nemesis on the board, so I want something to be able to get out of some of the damage that they can do. I'm going to go ahead and go with a sprint, and then from there I'm going to grab some consumables.
Okay. Minions have spawned.
Alright, let's get out there. Move quickly. So, here's the slice and dice. It is, okay, I was wrong. It's not quite 180, but it is pretty close. The narrow center area is where you will get the double damage and the slow. So I've talked about Nemesis being overtuned, and I still believe she is. But what you're going to see in this gameplay is I don't think you're going to quite see that. So you might say, oh, well, you know, you're not doing that well with Nemesis. You can't be that powerful. I want you to keep in mind there's a couple things wrong with my gameplay that I fully recognize that I have an issue with. One, I'm a bit tentative, a bit cautious. I'm a bit cautious about the way I play at first. I'm not very quick to do initiations. I will usually be very careful about what I do. You can kind of see there, that's kind of why you run into things like that. I'm going to play mostly in the tower, so I'm going to get my shield ready. The other thing is, once I do commit and I do decide to attack, I can... Whew, very nice. I can tend to overcommit. So while it might take me a bit to finally decide to make that movement, when I finally do, I can tend to overextend myself. I fully recognize that I do that. So I can become very aggressive in a moment's notice and then become too aggressive. Alright, trying to do a little bit here. We're not really able to push in too much. And now this slow being 50% at the very beginning means that I could easily slow one of them down and keep them from getting away, and Apollo could do quite a bit of damage to whoever he needs to. So I went shield first. Honestly, I probably should have gone the dash first after slice and dice. But let's talk about what I think makes Nemesis so strong and why you're probably not going to see me do as well as I claim she can do in this match. I think Nemesis, when you look at her grand power scheme, her power isn't super high. In fact, I mean, they've nerfed her power twice, as I talked about. It's down to 20%, like 25% power scaling on her 1 and 2. So it can't be that high. And certainly, I don't really think it is terribly high. But she's got a 50% slow at the very beginning. It's a very strong slow, and that you get at level 1. And what I think ends up happening is this, because I've seen a lot of Nemesis win games, and we're talking like 26 and 2 Nemesises, if not 26 and 0.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Just dash across twice, waiting for Apollo to come back, and then I'm going to head out. There we go. Okay. With a good Nemesis and a good team behind that Nemesis. Yeah, let's get some support. What are we dealing? I'm physical and magical. I want to get some cooldown reduction, I think, from the beginning, but Mystical Mark is very good for defense and getting some damage out to the enemy. Let's start with the Mark, because it gives me some nice protection and health, and eventually we'll do some damage. Should I? Hold on, they're mostly magical, right? Yeah, let's get to the cooldown. It's always a difficult choice with Mystical Mark. Mystical Mark is a very good early game item if you play it right, because it can do quite a bit of damage to deter enemy carries. I'm not dealing with an assassin. I'm dealing with a pretty good ranged Neath. She's able to avoid a lot, so I don't think the Mystical Mark is going to be a very good pull for, or a very good pick for this match. But what I'm thinking happens in these matches that I see, because of that strong slow. Because of that, notice how they can't get away. With a good Nemesis, all you have to do is get the slow and get that initial gank. And here, with your ultimate, you have 2 slows. So you notice how they're running away now? They kind of know what's coming. You've got 2 slows, and both of them do a 50% slow. So at level 5, you can start really tearing people apart.
Enemy missing right! Enemy missing right! An ally has been slain.
Alright, let's go get this mana buff. So what I think ends up happening is the Nemesis will basically tear apart an enemy lane. And then what they'll do is they'll snowball ahead. So, like, one of the things that makes Thanatos very strong is that he has a very good early game, and he can do a lot of burst real quickly. And then what happens is, as long as he stays ahead of the game, as long as he keeps on his item build, then Thanatos is very dangerous. However, a Thanatos that can't keep up his item build, that falls behind, will start to suffer. He won't be able to do anything. I've run into that many times myself as Thanatos. You get behind and you just can't do enough damage to stop the enemy. You have to basically farm as much as possible. And then once you farm, you get up to the same level, you start getting the right items, you get Quinn size, you get some attack speed, and then he's lethal. But Thanatos has to keep up. If he doesn't keep up, you can see there I popped on my shield and did a bit of damage right back to that Athena. I don't have any,
Your left tower is under attack.
unfortunately, any potions at this point in time, so I have to be very cautious. Now when she pops that circle around me, I could easily pop my shield. I have to admit I have been very lax on doing my shield and getting it up when I need it. You can see there's a slight delay on the hit time of the slice and dice, so I can prime it and run in. See, I know what she's trying to do, and it's not going to happen. Apollo needs to be careful, though. Alright, let me get out of here and get some more of that physical protection. And then what I'm going to do is also grab some consumables. And so that's what happens. So what do I think they could do to probably get Nemesis in the right zone? Well, I don't think they needed to bring these down as much as they did. I think they might have been able to bring those back up. But what I think they should probably do is take the 50% slow and divide it out. Don't make it a 50% slow at rank 1. Make it, you know, put it a percentage, and then make the maximum level be 50%. With that, you should be fine. There we go, initiating. So there, I'm taking protections from Athena, keeping her from running away, healing myself with... Oh, well, I guess I'll sprint. I got rooted, and unfortunately that's what stopped me. But right there, had I played that right, I completely took those guys on 2 to 1. In fact, there's what goes my team invading and taking them out. So while I didn't get the kill, I just basically enabled that to happen. That ultimate, stealing the protections, giving me the speed, giving me the power that I need to take them down. You can see that she has a very strong one-on-one game, and it just seems like maybe the abilities are too powerful at the early level. Now, granted, I'm at level 4 now, so yeah, that would have brought it up. But had I have played very aggressively with Apollo, then you could have seen me taking that. And I'm going to go ahead and use that ability there. You could have seen us taking them out very early by me slowing them and Apollo taking advantage of that. If we would have been very aggressive and then they would have tried to retreat, they wouldn't have made it. Now, Nemesis is in fact very good at that. Chasing people. You really aren't going to get away from Nemesis. She'll slow you down with the 2, with the 4. Double dash. I've had Nemesis chase me into my Minotaur room. Okay. Alright, down a little damage there. Slow. Steal the protections. I'm gonna kill her. Got her. And that right there is what I'm talking about. You just go in there, you start chasing people down, and they can't get away from you. Alright. I am a bit weak to be able to do this with Neath. There. I knocked the damage right back at her. Ah, unfortunately, wasn't able to get away. But that's quite alright. We are waiting for a bit more gold to be able to complete either one of those. I've got my ultimate leveled up. I lingered a bit too long, and Apollo now has to deal with 3 enemies in right lane. Hopefully that Hunbot starts moving in, because that Athena is starting to push in on the right.
Enemy missing right.
Now, when it comes to Retribution, I think it's a really cool ability. It's very short duration, so that's what balances it out. But I'm really wondering if it should have both an invulnerability and a reflection. I'm wondering if it should just have one or the other. Make it so that you have a 1% or a 1 second invulnerability. Now that kind of makes it... Yeah, she's not getting away. She's not getting away. She's not getting away. Chase her down. Yeah. You can't get away. You just can't get away. I can still dash even while rooted. That's all I need. So I'm wondering if either one or the other would be good. I mean, honestly, giving it a 1 second reflection rather than invulnerability would make it quite unique. You know, it's not like it would be less like gods that exist already, like Chung-Ah, who has a immunity for a brief second.
An ally has been slain.
So I'm just going to go ahead and reflect damage back to her. She can't really run away. Oh, Athena's coming in, so I'm going to go ahead and run away, avoid the root. And we're good. So all I need is to use that shield. Now I'm going to go get my cooldown reduction, and you can kind of see where... Well, first, let's clear this. Alright. And you can see how this is pretty powerful. Now, I also think that maybe Slice and Dice is a bit large, because it makes it very difficult to avoid that kind of damage. Now again, you only get the 140 if you're not hitting in the middle cone, but it's on a 7-second cooldown already. I start popping some cooldown gear here. It's now down to 5.2. This, on a 5-second cooldown, doing 140, double that if you hit it in the center, pretty strong. Now, I'm not doing great, but as you can see, I'm not doing terrible either. I mean, I chased down that Athena into basically her tower twice and killed her. In fact, there we go. Stole her protections. Slice and dice. Alright, I was slowed by the enemy Nemesis. So I'm going to go ahead and dash out of there to get rid of the slow. And honestly, when it comes to Nemesis, even though I talk about her being overtuned, and I do believe she is. Yeah, I messed that up. Well, she missed, so actually that was good for me. Oh, are we going? No, no, no. We've got a Nemesis here. Yeah. Cancel that out. Just need 1 dash. I don't want to leave lane so often. I'm losing farm because of that. Let's just pop my potions and stay in lane.
Your team has destroyed 11 enemy towers.
Hunbots is coming in, but so is Athena. So let's just pull back. Right. Oh dear. Thank you. But that's bad. Nice, very nice, very nice. Oh, sorry, Hunbots. So the idea behind the ultimate, the best way to use that ultimate
This will tip the scales of balance.
is to use it on a tank. Very much, that's very obvious, because you're stealing with the ultimate protections. The movement speed is not being stolen, it's just giving you a buff and reducing their movement speed. So you don't have to worry about hitting a target with high movement speed if you want to get movement speed out of it. Really what you're trying to do is just steal the protections and possibly do half damage. And since you want to do it, since it does 50% damage of health, you probably want to do it on a target with high health. So again, that would be a tank. You can sit here, steal the protections of a tank, Oh, damn. Poor Poseidon. However... Bye-bye. Let's go ahead and pull back a bit. Alright. Alright. I thought there was going to be more coming. So I was being very cautious. But as you can see, I'm hitting creep and I'm getting my stacking buff of additional damage, which is great because now I'll just hit her, wait for her to land, hit her again. Hoombots will take her out. And unfortunately, as you can see right there, the enemy Nemesis hit me with the ultimate and I moved super slow and couldn't get out. My protections were gone, so she just melted through me. That's what Nemesis does, melts through, she pretty much melts through tanks. She's a tank, she can be a tank killer because of that. Alright, I want power, but at the same time, I'm pretty much this team's tank in many ways. So, let's see how I want to pull this off. See, now enemy Nemesis 5-0, that's what I'm talking about. It's very difficult to kill a Nemesis. I'm personally being very hard to kill right now, but it's, they're playing a bit better than our team in that regard, so I'm not doing as good as I could be, most definitely. So, with, what is it again? Was it Magic? Nuwa, Athena, Anubis, mostly Magic, but the enemy Nemesis is a big deal.
An ally has been slain.
Let us...
Your middle tower is under attack.
Oh boy, I guess I'll Sovereignty.
This will help my cause.
An enemy has been slain.
I can still do a decent amount of damage even without building damagey, but I am going to try and get some damage gear when I get a chance. Now unfortunately I am the only one alive.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Someone was kind of weak over here. Is it
Your
Athena?
middle tower is under attack.
I'll use your powers again over here.
Alright, slowing her down. Slowing her down again. Dashing, preventing her from leaving. Dashing again. Slowing her down. Killing her. So what I would really like to do is I'm going to get some Quinn size after I build Sovereignty. Alright. Alright. Go away. Alright, she ran away. Quinn size is really great on her, considering that she can keep chase and keep doing damage to the enemy. And Quinn size, you know, of course, doing more damage the lower you get them. And she does have a decent attack speed rotation. It's not terrible. I have 1.3 and I haven't built a single item for it. Alright. Anubis was able to catch up to me and take me out. Our team is kind of scattered. So, I mean, like I said, you're probably not seeing me play a Nemesis in the best light. I'm not doing too hot with her. But look, all you have to do is look no further than the enemy's Nemesis right now to see her going 6-0-5. Building pure damage. You know, if we had a tank and I could go pure damage, I could probably be mimicking that. Yeah, Anubis is going to get away. And, yeah, their Nemesis just takes out Ao Guang right there. Dash, dash, done. Honestly, what I would probably do is put the scaling back on these and maybe lower the base. I'm not sure. It's just the double damage seems like it really makes it very high, you know?
Hold me back.
Oh well, I think I've said my piece on that. Welcome to Kage's Crying Corner, where Kage cries about Nemesis being overpowered because Nemesis kicks every team's ass that Kage fights against. That's pretty much what it comes down to. It's every time I fought an enemy Nemesis, that team has won, and it's been terrible. And unfortunately, there's not been many teams that haven't had a Nemesis. So, alright, you want to play this game? We can play this game. Alright, come on. Yeah, do damage to me. Slow you down. Alright, that's it. Goodbye. And that's how it is. I mean, I had 10 seconds of additional protections thanks to that Athena. What did I steal from her? I stole Reinforced Greaves, Physical Mark, Magi's Blessing. So, pretty much stole all her physical defense. Which meant Neith couldn't really do much against me.
Be careful, middle. Enemies incoming.
But that right there, I think, kind of showcases it. I went against two enemy gods, a tank and an ADC. and I was able to go toe-to-toe with them. Even in games that I've lost as Nemesis, I've been able to go toe-to-toe with gods that were several levels over me. I don't really want to pull back. Let's do that. Yep. Saw that. Yeah, go ahead and get out of there. Ah, I got caught in the pull-in. And that didn't help Apollo any. Apollo's gonna die.
An ally has been slain.
Oh, I wish that would have killed him. That would have been so awesome. Oh! 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 Ladies and gentlemen, that was an awesome play on both ends there. I mean, Kwong gets Anubis just before Anubis is able to get him with the damage area, and then of course out of nowhere comes the arrow from Neath. So I decided not to surrender. I'm going to keep this game going. I'm not going to let it end like that. Let's see. What do I need for the finished sovereignty? I need 1,000. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So we're going to lose all our towers. That sucks. But I still don't think that's too much cause to surrender just yet. All right. Alright, slowing her down. Oh, I forgot she was behind me. I should have taken her protections instead. Slice. And dice.
An ally has been slain. Double kill. You have slain an enemy.
Alright. Ah, too early. I almost wish I could get Anubis to fire his ult at me so that I can reflect it. That's what I want to do one game. I just want to get a game where I can get a Poseidon or a Habo or something and just shield. And that shield is also on a 7.2 with full cooldown. I mean, look at this, 4.2, 7.2. These cooldowns are excessively short for what they do, with all the slowing, all the support she gets out of them. Oops. You know what? Here we go. Alright, let's go back. I think Nuwa is going to get away. Meh. Alright, so Athena wants to chase me. Let's go ahead and pull Athena into an ally. Oh, that was a friendly. Stealing your protections. There we go. I was able to reflect some of that damage. Unfortunately, I ultimately died. I'm just staying in too long. well. Attack speed. Let's do Quinn's. Let's just go ahead and get that up now. How am I doing? I'm 7-5, so I'm, yeah, not terrible, but their Nemesis is 9-1. And that's just it. She's snowballing already. She's got Heartseeker, she's got the Tabi, Asi, and Quinn Sai. So the enemy's Nemesis right now is pretty much going to kill us all. Is what it's going to come down to. She has got the perfect assassin. Well, she's supposed to be a warrior, but she pretty much makes the perfect assassin. I'm still going to let this go. I want to see how far this game goes. We are down all 3 Phoenixes, but that means we can farm on the fire creep. And if this team will pull together, we might be able to do some damage in a team fight. We just really need to defend. Well, maybe we're down all 3. We're down 2. So I can get full lifesteal from creep. Alright. Nice job. But that's not so good. We can't really be initiating it right now. Not when we have creep to defend against. Especially not just 1 or 2 people going out. Oh no, this left lane is about to get hit. I don't see any red. Yep, there it is.
On guard.
There you go. I mean, this match doesn't feel too bad. This match actually feels much better than previous matches I've had. I'm going to tell you, I have seen some steamrolled matches going on with Nemesis in the game. It has made me... I had an initial reaction, and I put it on Twitter that, you know, I'm just thinking maybe I should take a break until Nemesis gets fixed, because it seems like she's just super, super strong and just overtuned right now. But that being said, I can see some counter to her. Building... A lot of people have suggested it, but building a winged wand can really prevent her chasing potential. You will be immune to her slows for a couple seconds.
An ally has been slain.
But I have seen Nemesis chase people into their base. I've been chased by a Nemesis in my base. I ran past my tower, past my Phoenix, into the Minotaur, and the Nemesis still killed me. It was pretty ridiculous how survivable a Nemesis building damage can be. Even worse, you can see how powerful a Nemesis building tanking can be. I'm building fairly tanky, and I'm still doing quite a bit of damage. I'm killing Athena. I'm killing a tank.
Your left Phoenix has been destroyed.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. Yeah, we're gonna lose this one. This one's obviously GG, but I want to try and keep it going just a little bit longer. See what we can do here. All right. Come on. Should have popped that just a second sooner. I kind of want to stand in that with my shield again. Alright, let's go get some size. I don't think I have enough for all the full... No, I don't.
This will tip the scales of balance.
But yeah, she's very much strong in whatever capacity you build her in. In fact, I'm almost seeing a disturbing trend of bruisers in this game, the warriors in this game, being a little bit stronger than they ought to be. And you would think, well, if they're all overpowered, then it must be balanced. Well, it just means that there's a trend that certain playstyles are rewarded, and I don't think I like this whole like some of the metas I've seen, like he who stuns first wins and things like. You know, they're minor complaints, but all in all, like I said, okay, let's walk in that and reflect some damage. Let's see what happens. 'Cause we're not doing great, but we're not losing yet. All right. Oh yeah, now she's slowed inside of a whirlpool. She's dead. All right, let's go in. This new one is dead. I don't care how long she keeps her protections up. She's gonna ultimately die. Well, maybe not. She was able to escape, it looks like. And there it goes. That's fine. So let them win. Have their win. Maybe you can kind of see where I'm coming from as far as where Nemesis is. I didn't do terrible with her, but obviously, like I said, I have my own quirks about how I play that I don't play her in the optimal, her potential. Not only that, but having to play her tanky against an enemy Nemesis that's playing offensively. A Nemesis that can play offensively and play with damage is just really what's wrecking all of these games. I mean, you look at this. This Nemesis goes 12-1. I really think that she is just she has to be overtuned. This cannot happen consistently if she's balanced. Sure, you look at me and like go, I didn't do that good, but I was still, you know, doing decently, and you saw that I was able to take out, even though I didn't get a ton of kills, I was taking out a tank consistently. As a tank. I built only damage at the... Well, I had the Ninja Tabby, but that's the boots. You barely get anything out of that. But I mean, comparatively, compared to this, Heartseeker, Quinn's, Aussie, Deathbringer, or it's the wrong one. Compared to this, Heartseeker, because they both built Heartseeker. Tabi, Aussie, Quinn's, yeah. She can keep you slow. She's got decent attack speed, and then the Quinn's will just finish you off. So I didn't show her off too great. I know that. My apologies on that, but honestly, that wasn't a bad match. It's ever since this patch has come out, I've won maybe one game, and that one game, I was a Nemesis. The enemy team didn't have a Nemesis, and they surrendered at 10 minutes. I'm just saying, statistically speaking, that just seems like high-res bases. This is the weird part. High-res bases a lot of their nerfing on win and loss ratios, which honestly I think is a terrible idea. A god can be overpowered but not have a high win percentage, especially with the way team play works. I mean, a good team can counter something like that. If you focus on the thing that's overpowered and then the rest of the team falls apart, then that doesn't prove anything. If that god was, if that god's losing because teams are countering it. But you shouldn't have to have a whole team to counter one person. That's terrible design. I like how I like this game, and I want to trust high-res on this, but there's been a lot of proof out there, or at least a lot of discussion out there about how this balancing happens, and it does concern me. I still endorse the game. I still think the game is great. I still leave a link at the bottom of my video description if you haven't seen it before. There is a link that you can sign up. It gives me a little bit of credit for referring you. I get some favor and maybe some gems if you hit level 30. But, I mean, I wouldn't still do this if I didn't like the game and I thought that high-res was terrible. Terrible people. I don't think they are. I just think that they're maybe a little misguided in how they do some of the balance. I mean, when you take Nemesis and nerf her damage twice when you release her, and she's still this strong, maybe you're looking at the wrong place. You really need to look at what is making her so strong. A 50% slow at the very beginning of the game, two 50% slows by level 5. I just think that maybe there's too much on her kit, and it seems like this is a recurring problem. A new god comes out and they're overpowered, and people are like, oh, it's better if they're overpowered when they come out. I mean, the only god I can think of that wasn't overpowered when they came out was Nuwa. I mean, Nuwa I still don't like. She's not my preference. I don't care for her. But she has potential. And the only time she was really overpowered when she was combined with other gods, such as Fenrir. Sorry, his name escaped me for a moment there. The whole shake and bait combo. And that's still strong. And honestly, Nuwa, even though I don't like her, she's in a pretty good spot right now for people that do like her, and she plays fairly well. She has a lot of protection she can give to the team. She can give physical protection to the team. She can give movement speed to the team. She is very much a support god. So I don't think Nuwa's bad. I think she's actually pretty good right now. But that's one of the things, is that she turned out pretty good, and she wasn't overpowered to begin with. But it was pretty much because her damage output was fairly low compared to anyone else, unless she was combined with other people. Her Cage is a phenomenal example of that. Her Cage works fantastically if you've got gods that play off of it, such as Sobek and Hercules and Fenrir. It works wonderfully. So I'm just hoping they could take a long, hard look at her, because quite honestly, it's at the point right now where I was thinking about maybe doing some of the other gods that I haven't done videos on. I had a request for Guan Yu. I was going to do that. I'm not sure I want to do that with Nemesis on the table. I have been very frustrated with the game as of late. It's been very difficult to record fairly. I like to present these. I know I'm going long here at the end. You have my apologies there. I just kind of wanted to get a lot of this in regards to the game off my chest, because I felt very strongly about this last night. I just have been I want to present these videos in a very even keel. I don't want to sit here and say she sucks, she's overpowered. I don't want to sit here and ever just without giving you reason. If I'm going to sit here and say I think a god is overpowered, I need to come and be able to say god is overpowered because of X. So when I'm sitting here losing match after match after match to a Nemesis, and unfortunately I get angry. I think we all get angry from time to time when we're just not performing well. We don't like how we're doing. I mean, and most of my anger comes from that, is I feel like I'm not performing in the way I should be. And I want to say she's overpowered, and I keep saying to myself, but why? What is it? What is she doing that I can't counter? And that was part of it. I kept trying to counter her. I found myself actively avoiding her at every turn. If I could avoid fighting Nemesis, I would rather turn around and fight someone else. And I kept thinking, what is it I could do? And unfortunately, the answer came a lot from, a lot of threads have said this, maybe a winged wand is what you have to do. Problem is you can't build a winged wand right away. I mean, you can. It's not a great item to do it with, though. A lot of people don't use Wing 1 because its stats aren't that great. I mean, they're not terrible, but they don't offer you any form of major damages or even really protections. It gives you a bit of health, I do believe. It gives you some movement speed and cooldown reduction. It could counter her. but it only works every so often. It's got a cooldown on it, and Nemesis cooldown is, as you saw, like 5 seconds. Winged Wand is going to save you from a slow once. So even though, I mean, people are suggesting Winged Wand, I'm like, well, wait a minute, you can't stop that. You know, it's like looking at Ares. You can counter Ares' ultimate with beads, because the beads and Ares' ultimate are almost on the same cooldown. Ares actually gets his cooldown back faster if he builds cooldown reduction, so he can get people with beads as long as he uses his ultimate right away, but unfortunately that's what he has to do. He has to basically say, okay, I need to pop this immediately, your beads are down, let's just do it now. Or hope that someone else made you blow your beads. But that is counterable. When you have a 5-second ability that slows 50% for about 2 seconds, it's pretty strong. And I don't think that the 50% itself is too strong at the late game, but definitely for the early game. If anything, maybe bring it down to 40% and still make it stack from level to level. So maybe 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, I don't know, something like that. It just seems like that would seem like it might even her out a little bit. Because her damage output in and of itself isn't terrible. So she's not overpowered in the damage department. It seems that it's everything else. That whole stealing of protections, maybe her ultimate needs to be adjusted in that, I think the ultimate is great as it is, but maybe the duration is too long. 10 seconds of stealing a tank's buffs, and 5 seconds of them losing it. Now, 5 seconds, that's not bad. 5 seconds I'm not really concerned about where they lose it, but you can see that, as you saw, that's enough time to kill a tank. But I think that is nice to have a god that's kind of designed for that. So overall, I like her design. I really do. I like the way she plays, but I do feel she's overtuned, and it's just unfortunate that I'm seeing a lot of these high KDR games with Nemesis involved. And it's one of those things where it makes it so that the games are less and less enjoyable because that happens a lot. Thankfully, some teams aren't using Nemesis all the time, so you might not see Nemesis all the time, so hey, you know, you might not run across it. Or maybe you come up with a great example of taking out Nemesis. So anyone that wants to provide suggestions, by all means, please do. Whenever I present these videos, please keep in mind that this is a discussion piece. These are my personal opinions, and they are by no means considered to be fact. This has to happen. This is the way it needs to be. I am by no means a professional Smite player. I am simply a guy that plays video games and am kind of opinionated. I feel like I'm fairly even. I like to see things from all sides. So I like to take apart things and see, is there a reason why people think something is either over or underpowered and why, and try and give you guys each side as I see it. So that is Nemesis. There has been a lot of discussion here in the victory screen, or I'm sorry, defeat screen. But there you go. There you go. Overall, aesthetically, love her. The only problem I have with her, I didn't show you in the match, my apologies. She runs when she attacks, in place. If you stand still and attack, she will run in place. It's pretty ridiculous looking. I kind of hope they fix that. Anyway, that's Nemesis. Very cool. I love her design. Maybe she'll get balanced out in the patches to come, eh? Ladies and gentlemen, I have been KageKaze. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure.